Although Europe is a very diverse continent and people of every culture live here, whether it is Muslim religion or Christianity. Muslims have been living in Europe for many years. Now some Muslims came here due to immigration and some due to globalization. Ever since globalization has taken place all over the world, there are no restrictions on where anyone can live. Due to globalization, Muslims move to different places for jobs and business to earn income, and some even settle in one place. But as time is passing, every country is changing its laws and rules, and now some countries have laws that can impose restrictions on immigration. And there are some countries that want to ban immigration, so that they can control the increasing number of Muslims in those countries. Although there is no restriction on Muslims coming to these European countries, these countries are bringing such laws which will definitely hurt the religious faith of any Muslim. Meaning of changes in law like ban on hijab or not allowing construction of mosque. If you are from Europe, then you probably know about all these things. So let us now know which are those countries in Europe where there are many restrictions on Muslims. So our first country is France. France is often seen as the epitome of secularism in Europe. The French model of laïcité, which strives to keep religion separate from public life, has been a cornerstone of the country's social fabric. However, this principle has led to significant restrictions on the practice of Islam, especially in the public sphere. A major policy that has impacted Muslim communities is the 2004 law that bans the wearing of visible religious symbols, including the hijab, in public schools. This law, while initially aimed at ensuring religious neutrality in schools, has been seen by many as targeting Muslim women who choose to wear the hijab. The law has been widely criticized for undermining the rights of Muslim women to express their religious identity, particularly in a public space like a school where many Muslim girls are forced to choose between their education and their faith. In addition to this, France passed a law in 2010 that banned the full-face veil, which means the niqab and burqa, in public places, marking the country as the first in Europe to implement such a measure. This law was justified by the French government as a way to promote security and protect women from oppression, but critics argue that it disproportionately affects Muslim women, often forcing them to make the difficult choice between wearing their religious attire or facing legal penalties. The 2021 anti-separatism law in France expands beyond restrictions on Islamic dress and extends to broader limitations on Islamic practices. It allows the government to shut down mosques accused of fostering extremism, and places heavy restrictions on foreign financial support for Islamic institutions. Critics contend that this law disproportionately targets Muslims, associating them with potential security risks without solid proof, thereby deepening their social exclusion and reinforcing negative stereotypes. So let's move on to our next country, which is Switzerland. A country known for its neutrality and high standard of living, has also seen increasing restrictions on Islamic religious practices in recent years. In 2021, Swiss voters approved a controversial referendum to ban the wearing of full-face veils, such as the burqa and niqab, in public spaces. While the law was presented as a measure to ensure safety and security, it has been criticized as an infringement on personal freedoms, especially the rights of Muslim women who choose to wear such attire as part of their religious practice. Switzerland's decision to ban the burqa is part of a broader trend of Islamophobic sentiment that has been growing in Europe. Right-wing political parties in Switzerland, as in many other European countries, have capitalized on fear of Islam to gain political traction. These parties often frame Islam as incompatible with Western values, positioning Muslim communities as a threat to national identity. The rhetoric of these political groups has been linked to rising hate crimes against Muslims, as well as a social environment that makes it increasingly difficult for Muslims to practice their faith openly. So this was Switzerland. Here also there is no good attitude towards Muslims, and this country is also bringing some such laws which can ban the practice of Islam. So let's move on to our third country, which is Denmark. Like many Scandinavian countries, has long prided itself on its liberal policies and social welfare systems. However, in recent years, Denmark has increasingly adopted policies that have negatively affected its Muslim population. One of the key areas where Muslims face restrictions is in the regulation of religious institutions, particularly mosques and the training of imams. The Danish government has introduced regulations that require imams to be trained in Denmark or in other Scandinavian countries, rather than in Muslim-majority countries. The rationale behind this policy is to ensure that imams are not promoting extremist ideologies. However, critics argue that it amounts to state control over religious teachings and undermines the religious autonomy of Muslim communities. Many Muslims feel that such regulations place undue pressure on their ability to freely practice and teach their religion. So our next country is Netherlands. Historically known for its liberal attitudes toward religion and diversity, has seen a rise in anti-Muslim sentiment in recent years. The rise of populist right-wing political parties, particularly the Party for Freedom (PVV), led by Geert Wilders, has contributed to an increasingly hostile environment for Muslims in the country. These political movements often use Islam as a political tool, depicting Muslims as a threat to Dutch values and culture. One of the most visible policies affecting Muslims in the Netherlands is the 2019 law banning face coverings in public spaces. This law prohibits the wearing of the niqab and burqa in public spaces like schools, public transport, and government buildings. While proponents argue that the law promotes security and public order, critics contend that it disproportionately targets Muslim women and infringes on their freedom of religious expression. The law reinforces a negative stereotype of Muslims as outsiders who cannot integrate into Dutch society. Islamophobia in the Netherlands has also been fueled by the media and political discourse, which often frames Islam as incompatible with Western democracy. The political climate in the Netherlands has made it difficult for Muslims to practice their faith without facing prejudice or discrimination. Many Muslims report being subjected to hostile treatment in public spaces, as well as challenges in securing employment and housing due to their religious identity. So our last country is Hungary. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Viktor Orban, has taken an aggressive stance against Muslim immigration and has implemented policies that reflect deep-seated Islamophobic sentiments. Orban's government has repeatedly stated that it does not want Muslim refugees in Hungary, particularly those fleeing the conflicts in Syria and Iraq. Hungary has openly defied European Union refugee relocation programs, choosing instead to maintain a strict anti-immigration policy. This stance is partly based on the belief that Muslim immigration poses a threat to Hungary's Christian identity. Orban has often used this rhetoric to rally nationalist support, positioning Muslim migrants as a security threat and as potential sources of terrorism. The government's discourse on migration has created a climate of fear and suspicion towards Muslims, particularly refugees, many of whom are already marginalized within Hungarian society. While Hungary does not have laws specifically targeting Muslims living in the country, the political rhetoric surrounding immigration and Islam has contributed to an environment where Muslims feel unwelcome and excluded. The government's narrative has also led to increased public hostility, with Muslims facing discrimination in both public and private spaces. So these were those 5 countries of Europe, which are making strict laws regarding Muslims, and will also ensure that Muslim immigration can be banned in future. Although there is no ban on any Muslim from going to these countries, the thing is that these countries do not want Muslim population. So friends, this was today's video. If you have something to say, then please say so in the comment section, and also let me know what topic the next video should be on. So if you like this video, then please subscribe the channel. I will continue to bring similar videos in the future also. See you in the next video.